the hidden science of storms, how weather recharges the planet's energy. Welcome back to Science in Sleeping. It's wonderful to have you here again. Another quiet night, another gentle journey, this time into the soft electricity of the sky, and the silent renewal happening above our heads every single day. Tonight, we're drifting into the hidden science of storms, exploring how weather recharges the planet's energy, how wind, rain, and lightning work together in a vast, rhythmic system that keeps our world alive and balanced. Whether you're here to fall asleep, to listen, or simply to feel calmer after a long day, this space is for you. It's a place where learning becomes lullaby, where curiosity becomes comfort, and where the sounds of science can help your thoughts slow down one by one. I hope this helps you drift off gently tonight, or at least brings you closer to that quiet, peaceful place inside your mind where the world feels far away, yet beautifully connected. Before we begin, I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is where you are. Maybe you're lying in bed, the lights low, your phone on the nightstand, your breathing soft and steady. Maybe it's just before midnight, and outside your window, the air feels thick and warm, waiting for rain. You don't need to remember any of this. You don't even have to stay awake. Just let the words wash over you like rainfall, gentle, constant, safe. Each idea we explore tonight will be like a drop of rain, soft, rhythmic, and natural, building slowly until it becomes something vast and beautiful. So now, settle in, get comfortable. Let your body rest, let your hands loosen, let your eyes grow heavy. Feel the pillow beneath your head, supporting you completely. Feel the air moving slowly through your lungs. In this calm space, you can let go of the day, of everything unfinished, of everything loud and demanding. Here there is only sound and story and sleep. Now, let's begin. Imagine you're standing on an open field just before a summer storm. The air is still heavy with expectation. The sky a strange gray-green, the edges of the horizon darkening. It's quiet, but not silent. Somewhere, the wind begins to turn. You feel it first as a whisper across your skin, a cool thread of air weaving through the warmth. Then, slowly, the world begins to shift. The leaves tremble, the clouds gather weight, and the first low growl of thunder rolls through the distance. Long and patient, like the earth exhaling. That's where our story begins. In the moment before the storm, when energy hides inside calm, when invisible forces start to move in ways we can't see, yet every atom around us responds. Storms aren't chaos, they're balance. They're how the planet breathes, releasing heat, carrying moisture, redistributing the world's energy again and again. Each lightning flash, each drop of rain, every gust of wind, all of it is part of a grand cycle, one that sustains every form of life on this planet, from the deepest roots underground to the clouds above the stratosphere. And tonight, as you listen, we'll uncover how that process works, how storms form, how they move, and how they quietly, powerfully restore the Earth's energy again and again. But for now, just breathe. Let your attention rest on the rhythm of your breath, in and out, the gentle repetition, like waves, like wind, like weather itself. You're safe, you're here, and you're part of the same natural cycle. We'll be exploring a human heart, beating in time with the pulse of the planet. A listener under the same sky that charges itself again and again. So let's drift together into the science of storms, the hidden energy above us, and the quiet truth that nature, even in its loudest moments, is always trying to find peace, always trying to restore balance, always bringing the world back to calm. Have you ever wondered where a storm truly begins? Not just where the clouds form or where the lightning flashes, but where the very idea of a storm starts. Inside the calm, invisible breath of the planet. Something small, something silent, building slowly, like a thought gathering strength. Maybe you felt it too, that shift in the air before rain. That quiet pressure behind your eyes, that subtle change that tells your body something is coming, something natural and powerful, a moment when the world seems to hold its breath, waiting. Picture yourself standing in a wide open field, miles from the nearest city, the air thick with moisture, the grass damp against your feet, the horizon stretching endlessly around you. Above the sky, a pale, washed-out blue fading into gray, and beneath it, a kind of stillness that hums quietly, waiting for release. It's not loud yet, not even dramatic, just full, as though every molecule in the air knows what's coming. The clouds are starting to thicken. Invisible layers of wind begin to shift in opposite directions. And high above, sunlight still touches the edges of the atmosphere, fueling invisible reactions, heating, lifting, moving. This is where storms are born, in the meeting of warmth and coolness, energy and rest, motion and stillness. The earth, in all its complexity, is always seeking balance. It can't stand still, and it can't stay in perfect harmony. Every patch of land, every ocean surface, every current of air, all of it is constantly shifting, trying to equalize itself. Warm air rises, cool air sinks, and in that eternal dance, sometimes gentle, sometimes fierce, but always purposeful. When the sun heats the surface of the earth, especially in tropical regions or warm plains, that heat rises upward, carrying moisture with it. Tiny molecules of water, invisible to the naked eye, begin their long journey upward. The higher they go, the cooler they become, and soon condensation begins. Droplets form around microscopic particles, and clouds are born. But not all clouds become storms. Something special has to happen, a trigger, a spark in the system. Maybe it's a shift in pressure, a wave of cooler air from a distant front, or even a ripple from the jet stream miles above. When these ingredients align, warmth, moisture, and instability, the sky begins to organize itself. It's astonishing to think that every storm, from a light drizzle to a thunderous cyclone, is just the planet trying to share its energy, to release what's built up, to bring balance to the air. Inside a forming thundercloud called a cumulonimbus, air can rise faster than a jet airplane. Warm, humid air rushes upward, cooling, condensing, releasing heat that drives the system higher and higher, while cold, dense air falls, creating downdrafts, and soon, an engine of nature is running on its own, powered by difference itself. Lightning begins not as light, but as imbalance, a tension between regions of opposite charge, as ice crystals and droplets collide inside the cloud. Electrons are stripped away, separating the sky into zones of positive and negative electricity. It's like the earth and sky are talking in voltage, building tension, storing potential, waiting for release, until finally, with a sound older than language, lightning tears through the air, connecting heaven and earth in a single blazing instant. Did you know that a single bolt of lightning can heat the air around it to 5 times the temperature of the sun's surface? Yet it exists for less than 1/10 of a second. A flash so fast and so bright it can momentarily reshape the molecules in the air, turning nitrogen into forms plants can later use to grow. In that instant, something extraordinary happens. Destruction and creation, chaos and renewal, all in one. The planet uses storms to recycle energy, to feed life, to maintain the fragile equilibrium that makes every breath we take possible. Even the sound of thunder rolling through the night is the air's way of remembering. It's the echo of heat expanding, a whisper of power released. And when rain finally begins to fall, it isn't random. It's part of a beautiful sequence, each drop forming around a tiny nucleus of dust or salt, growing as it falls, cooling the air, calming the storm that birthed it, returning moisture to the soil, feeding rivers, filling oceans, closing the loop. In this way, storms are less about destruction and more about renewal. They recharge the Earth's energy grid, balancing heat, redistributing nutrients, and cleansing the air. Every gust of wind you've ever felt is connected to this grand circulation, air moving from high pressure to low, carrying invisible gifts of balance across continents. And yet, in the quiet moments between lightning strikes, the science of it feels almost spiritual, because what we're really watching is the earth take care of itself. We often think of storms as interruptions, something to endure, but they're part of the world's healing process. Like a long exhale after holding tension too long, every clap of thunder, every flash of light, every gentle rainfall is the planet releasing what it no longer needs. If you've ever stood outside after a storm, you've probably noticed how different the air feels. Fresher, sharper, clean. That's because lightning splits nitrogen molecules, helping them bind to oxygen, creating nitrates that rain carries to the soil, nourishing plants. It's chemistry disguised as poetry. Storms, then, are Earth's way of gardening its own surface, cleansing the air, cooling the land, and ensuring that energy keeps moving, never stagnating. Think of it like the planet breathing. Inhale warmth, exhale storms, inhale sunlight, exhale rain, an eternal rhythm that connects oceans to forests, deserts to mountains, and every one of us to that same silent pulse. Even our bodies, in their own way, follow similar laws. The electricity in your heartbeat, the fluid circulation in your veins, the chemical exchanges in your lungs, they mirror the same physics that move clouds and winds. We are smaller versions of the same elegant machinery. And perhaps that's why storms can feel so emotional, so alive, because somewhere inside us, we recognize them. We feel the same longing for balance, the same need to release, to find calm after intensity. The next time you hear thunder, maybe you'll imagine it not as noise, but as a heartbeat, the world's pulse sounding across the sky, reminding you that energy is never lost, only transformed, reshaped, renewed. When you think of lightning now, you might see it as the spark of of the planet's nervous system. The synapse between clouds and ground, a connection that keeps the cycle of life flowing. In every flash, there's energy returning home, and in every rainfall, there's balance being restored. And as you rest here, listening, breathing, you're part of that same cycle, your body recharging, your thoughts dispersing like clouds, your mind finding equilibrium again, just as the earth does after a storm, because rest, too, is renewal. As the night deepens and your breath slows, imagine the world turning gently beneath you, clouds drifting, lightning flashing far beyond the horizon, unseen but always working, always balancing, always creating space for calm again. And in that quiet understanding, there's peace. Now, as we leave this module, let your mind drift with the wind, following the trail of a passing cloud, because next, we'll explore how the atmosphere itself stores and moves energy, carrying the memory of every storm and shaping the weather that touches every living thing. The planet keeps breathing, the storms keep forming, and the night keeps deepening, softly, endlessly, beautifully. Have you ever wondered where the wind truly begins? Not the breeze you feel brushing against your skin, or the gust that bends the trees, but the real origin, the invisible pulse that gives movement to the air itself. It's strange to think that the wind you feel tonight, perhaps whispering through your window or across your face, may carry traces of energy born in a storm thousands of miles away. Somewhere over the ocean, warm air rose, cooled, twisted, and released a portion of its power, and days later, that same movement, stretched thin and silent, drifts past you now, unseen, ancient, alive. Picture yourself high above the earth, floating in the layered blue of the atmosphere. The land below looks still, almost painted, but the air around you is anything but calm. It moves like a vast ocean with waves, tides, and deep currents, each layer flowing in a slightly different rhythm. This is the Earth's true bloodstream, carrying heat, moisture, and memory across the globe. Every gust, every breeze, every whisper of air is part of a colossal system that connects continents. The atmosphere is not just air, it's a dynamic engine, and it never stops working near the equator. The sun warms the surface, heating air until it rises like smoke, creating towers of invisible current. As that air climbs, it expands and cools, and the moisture it holds begins to condense into clouds, releasing heat in the process, fueling its own ascent even higher. Meanwhile, at the poles, the opposite is happening: cold. Dense air is sinking, spreading outward, and flowing back toward the equator, seeking warmth again. It's a self-sustaining cycle, a planetary conveyor belt of energy, constantly moving, constantly balancing. Did you know that this circulation pattern, called the Hadley cell, is one of the oldest and most stable processes on Earth, shaping not just storms, but climates, deserts, and rainforests? It's the quiet architecture of weather. When a storm forms, it injects massive energy into this system, releasing heat from condensation, pushing air upward into the stratosphere, and changing the wind patterns that circle the globe. Some of that energy fades within hours, but some lingers for weeks, spreading out, carried by high-altitude winds, like invisible ripples on a cosmic pond. If you could see it, the true motion of air, you'd see vast rivers of wind circling the planet, some fast, some slow, some rising, some sinking. Up near the top of the troposphere, where commercial airplanes fly, there's a narrow band of furious wind known as the jet stream, a ribbon of speed and temperature difference that loops across the hemispheres, steering storms like a conductor guiding an orchestra. The jet stream remembers in its own way. It carries echoes of old tempests, patterns of pressure and heat left behind, data written in motion. When you stand beneath a calm blue sky, it's easy to forget that above you, tens of millions of tons of air are moving in coordinated chaos. Sometimes the atmosphere even traps its own memories. In what scientists call standing waves, patterns of air pressure that remain fixed in place, oscillating quietly, influencing weather thousands of miles away. A storm that begins over the Pacific can subtly alter rainfall in Europe weeks later. A low-pressure system near Antarctica can change how the air moves across the Sahara. Everything is connected, and the medium of that connection is the atmosphere itself. Imagine it as a great library of motion. Every gust a word, every current a sentence, every storm a story written in air, each one leaving traces that the world continues to read long after the clouds have cleared. Sometimes you can even feel those traces without realizing it. The heaviness before rain, the ache in your joints when the pressure drops, the scent of the earth just before a storm, petrichor, carried by invisible molecules that rise when the atmosphere shifts. Even your breathing in this quiet moment participates in that same exchange. The air you inhale has traveled across oceans, over forests, through the remnants of storms, filtered and transformed again and again. It has touched leaves, waves, mountaintops, and now you. The air inside you is ancient, billions of years old, recycled, endlessly since the first clouds formed over the newborn planet. There's something comforting about that, isn't there? The thought that every breath is a continuation of something vast and timeless. Every exhale you release joins the same system again, rising, cooling, drifting, becoming part of another wind, another cloud, another storm, and so the atmosphere remembers us too, carrying our warmth, our carbon, our stories, one molecule at a time. When lightning strikes, it doesn't just release energy, it also stirs chemistry into motion, splitting oxygen molecules and creating ozone. Those traces of ozone rise, shaping how sunlight filters through the air days later. In this way, every storm alters not just the moment it occurs, but the moments after. Scientists who study atmospheric memory, the persistence of patterns and reactions, often speak of the air as if it were alive, not conscious, but active, responsive, capable of storing and releasing information through movement and temperature. When you think about it that way, the Earth feels less like a rock with weather, and more like a breathing organism. The atmosphere, its lungs, the storms, its heartbeats, each pulse sending new life, new balance, through its body. The next time you feel wind against your face, think of the journey it's taken across mountains, over rivers, through forests and fields, touching clouds and birds and waves, and now finding you, bringing the scent of rain, the whisper of electricity, the calm after 1,000 storms. It's the planet's quiet way of saying that everything moves, everything connects, nothing is wasted, Even silence carries the memory of motion. Even calm skies are filled with the echoes of energy. If you listen closely enough, you might hear it, the hum beneath the hush, the low vibration of the world balancing itself, always in motion, always becoming, as you rest here, breathing softly. Remember that your body mirrors that same balance, inhaling warmth, exhaling coolness, exchanging gases, maintaining equilibrium in 1,000 invisible ways. You are not separate from the atmosphere. You are made of it, living within it, part of its endless exchange. Every atom in your lungs has been through a storm, has been touched by lightning, has fallen as rain, has risen again as vapor. The universe recycling itself through you, quietly, lovingly, eternally, and in that understanding, there's peace, because storms are not endings. They are renewals, reminders that even chaos has a purpose, that every disturbance eventually finds stillness again. So now, as we drift forward, let that thought settle gently inside you, that the air you breathe tonight holds stories older than memory, an energy from storms long gone, and in the next part of our journey, we'll follow that energy downward into the earth itself, exploring how lightning roots into the soil, charging the ground, feeding life, and awakening the hidden circuits of nature. The atmosphere hums softly above, the earth waits below, and between them we rest, weightless, listening to the quiet heartbeat. Have you ever wondered where the energy of a lightning strike truly goes? Not the flash you see or the thunder you hear, but the raw power itself once it disappears from sight. It's easy to imagine that lightning simply vanishes. A single bright event, a noise in the sky, gone in a heartbeat. But that isn't the whole story, in truth. The strike is only the beginning of something larger, something slower, something that continues long after the flash fades. Picture yourself standing in a vast open field, the kind that stretches endlessly beneath a violet storm sky. Lightning forks above you, painting the clouds in white fire. For a moment, the entire world is suspended in light, and then the bolt touches the ground and disappears. What happens next is invisible, but it's extraordinary. The lightning doesn't simply strike and stop. It dives deep, spreading through the soil, radiating outward through minerals, water, and root systems. It's as if the earth itself inhales the electricity, holds it, and slowly, patiently, begins to use it. A single bolt of lightning can contain up to 1 billion joules of energy. That's enough to power a city block for hours, and yet, in less than a second, that energy transforms from pure heat and light into a quiet, buried current. Scientists call it ground current, a spreading pulse that travels through the Earth's crust, changing the chemistry of everything it touches. If you could see it, you'd watch tiny sparks racing through the ground, igniting chemical reactions, splitting molecules, freeing nitrogen from the air, and bonding it into forms that plants can use. That's one of lightning's hidden gifts. It feeds the soil. It creates fertilizer in an instant every year. Millions of tons of biologically available nitrogen are formed this way, scattered across the world by storms, seeding life, nourishing forests and fields. The smell after rain, that deep electric freshness, is partly this ozone and nitrates, the signature of lightning's chemistry woven into the air. But it goes deeper still, because lightning doesn't just touch the surface. In some cases, it burrows, creating glassy tunnels called fulgurites. Long, delicate structures made of melted sand, sometimes stretching meters below ground. Each fulgurite is like a frozen memory of lightning, a sculpture carved by energy, storing in its twisted form the story of that single flash. And inside those glassy veins, scientists have discovered strange magnetic patterns, tiny fields imprinted in the cooled material, as if the Earth itself was briefly magnetized by the storm. Over time, those traces can last for centuries, silent witnesses to a single second of cosmic fire. But the most mysterious part lies even deeper, beneath layers of rock and water, where the Earth's crust becomes conductive in certain regions. Lightning's current can reach underground aquifers, vast reservoirs of water, and when it does, it changes them. Ions form, minerals dissolve, and the chemistry of entire groundwater systems shifts ever so slightly. It's as though lightning leaves behind an invisible fingerprint in the planet's bloodstream in recent years. Scientists studying geothermal and volcanic zones have found something fascinating. Areas with frequent lightning activity tend to have richer soil chemistry, and in some cases, stronger natural electromagnetic fields. It's led to a new idea that lightning doesn't just affect weather. It participates in the planet's energy storage network, a living exchange between the sky and the ground. Imagine the Earth as a giant circuit, the atmosphere charged positive, the surface slightly negative. Every thunderstorm resets the balance, sending electricity downward, replenishing the potential difference, keeping the system alive. The global lightning network, thousands of strikes per minute across the planet, acts like the heartbeat of this electrical system, regulating charge, distributing energy, maintaining a balance that allows weather, magnetism, and even climate stability to persist. If storms were to stop, the planet's electric field would slowly decay. The balance between sky and ground would fade, and the invisible pulse that flows through everything, even living organisms, would weaken. We live inside an electrical organism, wrapped in invisible voltage, moving through it every moment, and in that sense, lightning is not destruction, but renewal, a kind of planetary exhale, returning energy to the soil, reminding the ground what the sky holds deep beneath forests and deserts. There's a quiet electrical hum, measurable but faint. Geophysicists call it telluric current, natural electric currents that flow through the ground all the time, created by the interaction of the Earth's magnetic field, solar winds, and the leftover charge from lightning storms. These currents influence plant growth, mineral formation, even animal behavior. Some birds and fish can sense these fields, using them to navigate. You might be lying in bed right now, far from any storm, but beneath you, that current still moves, flowing through rock and root. An unbroken connection to the last bolt that struck the planet, maybe thousands of miles away. It's humbling to think that every living thing stands within that invisible flow, bathed in low, rhythmic electricity. Even the human body is electric. Your nerves fire with tiny currents. Your heartbeat is a pulse of voltage. Every signal in your brain is a storm in miniature. When lightning touches the ground, it mirrors that, the vast external echo of what happens within you. Energy-seeking balance, discharge, followed by calm. The Earth recharges itself through the same language you do, spark and silence. surge and rest. Some ancient cultures knew this instinctively. They saw lightning not as punishment, but as medicine, as divine energy restoring the land, awakening seeds, stirring rain, and rebalancing the world. There are even old myths that say lightning hides treasure. And in a way, that's true. Not gold or jewels, but minerals, elements, energy. Every bolt releases trace metals from rock, freeing iron and phosphorus, triggering chemical changes that can create entirely new compounds. The earth beneath our feet is constantly rewritten by the sky, layer by layer, charge by charge. And when you consider that every thunderstorm on Earth, nearly 2,000 at any given moment, is part of a global electric circuit, you begin to feel just how alive this planet truly is. Even on nights when the stars are clear and no storms form overhead, lightning still flickers somewhere, silently maintaining the planet's charge. A hidden network of energy that never sleeps. There is something both thrilling and soothing in that, the idea that nature is never truly still, that even rest contains motion, even calm hides power. As you listen now, imagine those underground rivers of current, moving softly beneath mountains and oceans, whispering through stone, connecting sky to core, light to dark, energy to rest. You are part of that same network, breathing in air touched by ozone, lying above soil quietly charged by ancient storms. The pulse of the planet passes through you, softly, rhythmically, and in that deep connection, there is comfort, the reassurance that storms, however fierce, are part of a greater balance. That energy never disappears. It only transforms, waits, and begins again. So, as you drift deeper into rest, imagine yourself becoming still as the earth itself, calm on the surface, humming softly within, full of quiet electricity. And when the next storm comes, somewhere far away, remember, the lightning that touches the ground is not an end, but a continuation, a spark returning home. Now, let's drift onward to the next hidden layer of this living system, to the ocean storms, where lightning meets water and the sea itself becomes a generator of planetary renewal. The surface shimmers with charge, the waves breathe electricity, and deep below, life stirs awake, listening to the distant thunder. The storm is not over, it's only changing shape. Have you ever wondered what happens when lightning touches the sea? What really unfolds in that instant when raw electricity meets the vast body of water that covers most of our planet? It's a haunting image, isn't it? A single bolt of fire striking an endless blue expanse. A whisper of light spreading across rolling waves. The ocean glowing for a breath, then darkening again, calm, quiet, unchanged, or so it seems. But beneath that calm surface, something remarkable happens. Something most people never see. The ocean is not a passive receiver of the storm. It's a partner, a living, moving mirror of the sky. And when lightning meets water, a silent exchange takes place. A kind of conversation between two worlds. Picture yourself adrift on an open sea, the night around you heavy and humid, the horizon erased by mist, the air electric, your small boat rocking gently as the first distant thunder rolls across the water. You look up, and for a moment, the entire world blazes white. Lightning arcs across the clouds, a single spear of energy diving down toward the surface. It touches the water with impossible grace, and everything shudders. The sound doesn't echo the way it does on land. Out here, it rolls endlessly, swallowed by waves, reflected back into the clouds. Thunder on thunder, and beneath the surface, electricity races outward, not as a single path, but as a great branching web, spreading in all directions, each pulse charging the upper layers of the ocean. It travels fast, thousands of meters per second, but it doesn't travel deep. The salt in the seawater conducts the energy efficiently, dissipating it through millions of tiny ions. Sodium and chloride, hydrogen and oxygen, all dancing to the same invisible rhythm. In that instant, the water itself becomes a conductor, a living skin for the planet's electrical heartbeat. And though the strike lasts less than a second, its effects can linger for days, sometimes weeks. The heat of the lightning briefly vaporizes the surface layer, creating microscopic bubbles, and in those bubbles, strange reactions occur. Molecules rearrange. Oxygen binds with nitrogen, forming nitrates that slowly sink into the depths, feeding plankton, the ocean's invisible forests. Did you know that every lightning strike over the sea helps fertilize the ocean? Not in a human sense, but in nature's own quiet way. Each storm bringing nutrients that sustain life, sparking blooms of plankton that form the base of the marine food chain. Some scientists call this the storm-to-sea feedback loop, a hidden cycle where weather not only moves water, but feeds it. It's a cycle as old as Earth itself, one that keeps the oceans alive, and by extension, keeps us alive when you breathe. The oxygen in your lungs, half of it comes from those plankton, from the invisible life sparked by storms long before you were born. So every storm over the ocean is not just a spectacle. It's an act of renewal, a planetary breath. If you could dive beneath the surface right after a storm, you would find the water humming, faint but real, a measurable change in conductivity and charge, a soft echo of the lightning that once touched it. Tiny creatures respond to this. Bioluminescent plankton sometimes glow brighter after lightning storms, as if absorbing that brief burst of energy and turning it into light. Imagine drifting there, surrounded by darkness, and then a soft shimmer beneath you. Millions of glowing points, pulsing gently, alive with borrowed electricity, the sea itself breathing in light and exhaling calm. It's easy to forget that storms over the ocean shape our world in other ways too, each one stirring immense forces of heat. When wind gathers over warm water, it pulls energy from the sea, evaporating moisture, feeding clouds, building systems that can travel thousands of miles. This is how hurricanes are born, immense spirals of air and water, powered by heat drawn from the ocean's surface, moving like living beings across the planet. It sounds violent, and in some ways it is, but even hurricanes serve a purpose. They are part of the Earth's way of redistributing energy, carrying heat from the equator toward the poles, balancing temperature, preventing stagnation without storms. The planet's oceans would overheat, the atmosphere would grow uneven, and life itself would struggle to find equilibrium. Every gust of wind, every crash of a wave, every flash of lightning is a note in the planet's great balancing act. And there's something else, a deeper mystery. Storms over the sea don't only move energy horizontally across the surface. They also send vibrations vertically into the deep. Submarine microphones, known as hydrophones, have recorded these low-frequency rumbles traveling for hundreds of kilometers under the sea. Gentle but powerful, a form of acoustic energy that touches the ocean floor, stirring sediments, awakening dormant ecosystems. Some scientists believe this is how the ocean breathes after a storm, how deep layers mix, how nutrients rise from the dark abyss to the sunlit shallows, feeding coral reefs and kelp forests. So when you watch lightning over the sea, you are seeing more than weather. You are witnessing a transfer of power from the sky to the deep. From moment to eternity, even the color of the sky changes after an ocean storm. Light scattering differently through the clean, charged air, creating that deep, glassy blue that feels like peace itself. It's the sea's version of stillness, a pause after symphony, when everything in nature exhales at once. And perhaps that's why we find the ocean's storms so hypnotic. They speak the same language as the human heart. Waves and thunder, chaos and calm, surge and surrender. In a way, our emotions mirror the weather. We build and break, we charge and release. We thunder and then grow still when the sea storms. It isn't angry, it's remembering, it's reconnecting with the sky, resetting the delicate exchange that keeps the world alive. You might find comfort in that, the realization that chaos has purpose, that even destruction can nourish, that renewal often hides inside what looks like ruin. As you lie there, listening, imagine the vastness of the ocean beneath clouds, heavy with lightning. Imagine that energy passing through air, through water, through life itself. Every flash you see, every distant rumble you hear, is part of an unbroken thread stretching across centuries, from ancient seas to the ones that still breathe today. And somewhere in that rhythm, your body finds its own reflection, the pulse of your blood, the tide of your lungs, the storm and the calm within you. Let yourself drift with that thought. Float softly through it, your mind calm, your heartbeat slow, your breath moving like waves, because even as you rest, storms are forming, traveling, dissolving, and the planet keeps breathing, the sea keeps glowing, and life keeps unfolding in its endless cycle of recharge and release. Now, as the sound of distant thunder fades, we'll move to the next layer of this story, to the mountains that shape the weather itself, where air climbs, cools, and condenses, where storms are born in silence and carried across continents, a place where lightning whispers to stone, where snow and wind hold secrets of energy exchange older than time. Let's drift there next, to the high peaks where clouds are born, and where the planet's storms first begin their dance. Have you ever wondered why mountains call to storms? Why clouds seem drawn to their peaks as if pulled by invisible hands? Why lightning so often crowns their ridges before rain ever reaches the valleys below? It's one of nature's quiet mysteries, that still, cold stone can summon something as wild and alive as a storm. But it's not magic, it's physics, it's balance. It's the hidden architecture of the sky itself. Picture yourself standing high in the mountains, far above the lowlands, where the air thins and the world grows silent. The valley far below fades into mist, and the clouds drift at eye level, whispering across jagged peaks like ancient spirits in motion. The wind carries a chill here, a sharpness that feels alive. It brushes your skin and you can almost taste the electricity in it, faint and metallic, like the moment before a flash of lightning. Up here, storms are not distant spectacles. They are companions. They form around you, within you, sometimes so quietly you don't even notice until the first low rumble echoes across the slopes. This is where the world's weather begins, where air meets stone, and invisible rivers of wind rise and fall in a ceaseless dance. When warm, moist air travels across the land and encounters a mountain range, it has nowhere to go but up, and as it climbs, the pressure drops, the temperature falls, and the moisture condenses into clouds. This process has a beautiful name, orographic lift. It is the breath of the mountains, drawing air upward, exhaling clouds, and with them, storms. Each mountain range becomes a sky engine, reshaping wind patterns, cooling currents, and feeding entire weather systems. The Himalayas, the Andes, the Rockies, all of them do this, sculpting clouds, bending jet streams, creating rain shadows that determine where deserts form and where forests thrive. But it's not only the air that changes here. The mountains themselves seem to hold charge. Their peaks, often laced with minerals like quartz and feldspar, interact subtly with atmospheric electricity, acting like natural antennas, focusing and amplifying the energy of the sky. When a thunderstorm approaches, the electric field between earth and sky can increase dramatically, millions of volts building silently, until finally lightning finds its path. And more often than not, that path ends on a mountain, the perfect meeting point between the heavens and the ground. It's why lightning loves peaks. They are the Earth's fingertips, reaching into the clouds, calling the energy home. Some mountain storms are gentle, hidden in fog, releasing only mist and light. Others are colossal, their thunder rolling for miles, echoing through valleys like deep, resonant drums. And when those storms strike, they don't just reshape the air, they reshape the earth. Each flash of lightning fractures stone, melts minerals, and releases ions into the atmosphere. Tiny particles that drift into the wind and seed new clouds elsewhere. The cycle is endless. The mountains create storms, and storms, in turn, feed the mountains, eroding them, carving them, giving birth to rivers that flow back into the plains. It's a quiet system of renewal, as ancient as the world itself. If you close your eyes, you might imagine being there, surrounded by cloud, the air thick and still, your hair lifting with static, the world around you humming with invisible power. A flash splits the horizon, pure white, soundless for a breath, and then thunder, deep and rolling, not frightening but magnificent. The kind of sound that reminds you that you are small, yet profoundly part of something greater. That lightning doesn't just vanish either. It touches the peaks, melts rock, creates fulgurites hidden within cracks, leaving behind glass veins that tell a story of energy frozen in time. In ancient cultures, mountains were seen as the homes of gods and spirits, not just because they touched the sky, but because they attracted storms, fire, light, sound, and rain all descending upon them. To stand on a mountain during a storm is to witness the conversation between heaven and earth. And perhaps the mountains do speak, not in words, but in weather, shaping the sky's behavior for thousands of miles around. Even when skies are clear, their presence influences the air. The way wind curls, the way clouds form, the way pressure flows, in a sense. Mountains are like great conductors in an orchestra, invisible hands guiding the performance of the atmosphere, keeping rhythm between sky, land, and sea. Scientists studying high-altitude lightning, sometimes called sprites and blue jets, have discovered that mountain storms can trigger discharges that reach all the way to the edge of space. Luminous tendrils flickering far above the troposphere, invisible to the naked eye from below. Imagine that, storms on the mountains, sending energy into the stars. Brief, luminous bridges connecting the surface of Earth to the uppermost atmosphere. It's a reminder that even the most grounded places on Earth still reach outward, still touch the cosmic, and it doesn't end there. Because mountain storms play another role, they give birth to rivers. When rain falls high on the peaks, it begins a long descent, carving paths through rock, gathering minerals, collecting life, until it becomes a river, and that river flows to the ocean, completing the grand circle of water and energy. So the next time you stand beside a river, know that it once began in a cloud born from mountain breath, charged by lightning and cooled by ancient stone. The water in your hands has known storms, thunder, and skyfire. It has traveled across every element to find you. There's something comforting in that, knowing that everything we touch, everything we drink, everything we are, has moved through the same endless rhythm of rise and fall, creation and return. Mountains remind us that even the most solid things are part of the flow, that even stone changes. Their storms are not just destruction, they are the planet's heartbeat at its most majestic. And while they may look still, these giants are in constant dialogue with the heavens, exchanging charge, moisture, and motion, keeping the balance of air and energy that makes life possible below. If you listen closely, even in your sleep, you might hear it, that low hum, that distant rumble, the sound of air rising and cooling, of rain being born on unseen slopes. It's a lullaby written in thunder and mist, ancient and unending. As you drift deeper into calm, imagine yourself high among those peaks, wrapped in cloud. The storm moving around you like a living being, breathing light and sound into the air. Each flash becomes a heartbeat. Each drop of rain a thought dissolving into silence. You are safe here, part of the balance, part of the cycle that never stops. Above you, the sky still churns. Below you, rivers begin far away. The ocean waits to receive them again. The world moves, breathes, restores. And within that movement, your mind finds stillness. And as that calm deepens, we turn now toward the next mystery, the storms we cannot see. The tempests that unfold above the clouds, in the thin electric air of the upper atmosphere, where lightning grows into plasma, and the very edge of space shimmers with invisible energy. Let's drift upward now, higher than mountains, beyond the weather we know, into the rare, luminous storms that light the night sky, where Earth meets the cosmos. Have you ever watched a lightning bolt streak across the sky and wondered what it's really doing up there, beyond the flash and thunder? What secret work is hidden behind that electric beauty? Is it chaos or something like a message from the heavens, written in light? Each strike seems random, yet precise, as if the sky itself is sketching invisible maps we can't quite understand. But maybe, tonight, we can get closer to that mystery, gently, quietly, as you drift between wakefulness and sleep, following the pulse of energy that connects storm to soul, earth to sky, and you to something infinite. Now, picture yourself standing on a wide open plain, the horizon stretching endlessly beneath a gathering storm. The air feels charged, thick, and alive with invisible tension. You can almost sense it against your skin, a faint static hum that vibrates in your bones. The light dims as clouds roll in, towering like mountains of vapor, their underbellies bruised with shades of violet and gray. In the distance, a single thread of lightning flickers and disappears, leaving the echo of its brilliance lingering behind your eyes. The smell of ozone, sharp, clean, metallic, fills the air. The first drops of rain kiss your skin, cool and delicate, like the sky's first whisper before the storm begins its symphony. Scientists say that lightning is the Earth's way of balancing energy. It's a conversation between the clouds and the ground, a dance of opposites seeking harmony. Inside those massive storm clouds called cumulonimbustini, ice crystals and water droplets collide, rubbing against each other until they build immense electrical charges, like the static that forms when you rub a balloon against your hair, except on a planetary scale, billions of times more powerful. When the difference in charge becomes too great to contain, the air itself breaks apart and a bolt of lightning rips through the sky at nearly 200,000 miles per hour, hotter than the surface of the sun. For a brief instant, the world is illuminated, and then darkness again. Thunder follows, the low, rolling sound of the sky exhaling. But what makes lightning so mysterious isn't just its powerites, what it creates. Every time it strikes, it reshapes the atmosphere, forging elements that sustain life. The heat of lightning splits nitrogen molecules in the air, allowing them to combine with oxygen, creating nitrates. These fall to the ground with the rain, feeding plants and replenishing the soil. In other words, lightning is nature's fertilizer. Every flash you see in the distance is a life-giving act, a celestial gardener tending to the planet. And then there's the hidden light, the kind we can't see. Lightning also produces gamma rays and electromagnetic pulses that reach into space. Scientists call these terrestrial gamma ray flashes, and they're still trying to understand why they happen. Some even believe that lightning plays a role in maintaining the Earth's electrical field, a global circuit that wraps around the planet, connecting oceans, mountains, forests, and deserts in one continuous flow of energy. It's humbling, isn't it, to think that every storm is a repair mechanism, a balancing act written into the fabric of the planet. While we take shelter indoors, listening to the rain drum softly against windows, the sky is quietly healing the earth, recharging its energy reserves for another day. In ancient cultures, lightning was sacred. The Greeks saw it as Zeus's weapon, the symbol of divine will in Norse mythology. Thor's hammer summoned the storms, its sparks falling from the heavens as bolts of lightning. In parts of Africa, tribes believed lightning carried messages from ancestors. In Japan, it was said to be the laughter of the gods. The common thread in all these myths is awe and acknowledgement that something far greater than us moves in the clouds. If you were to stand still during a lightning storm safely, from afar you might feel that awe deep in your chest, not as fear, but as resonance. It's the sound of creation happening again and again, right above your head. It's the universe reminding you that chaos and beauty are not opposites, they are partners in the same dance. Did you know that lightning even strikes the same place more than once? The Empire State Building, for instance, is hit around 25 times a year. It's almost as if lightning remembers where it has been before, returning to familiar paths, retracing its electric footsteps across the sky. Perhaps energy, like memory, follows its own logic one. We're only beginning to understand. And here's another secret. Your own body carries tiny electrical fields. Each heartbeat, each neural spark is a flicker of energy, not unlike lightning. You are, in a way, a miniature Starman orchestra of electricity and rhythm, pulsing within a fragile, beautiful balance. When you watch lightning from a distance, you are watching your own nature magnified across the sky. Now imagine, for a moment, that you're lying in bed during a gentle thunderstorm. The rain falls in soft, steady sheets. The thunder murmurs far away. You feel safe, cocooned in warmth. And yet you can sense the energy outside, moving, humming, breathing life into the world. You can almost hear it teach flash, each roll of thunder a heartbeat of the earth. And maybe, just maybe, there's comfort in knowing that every storm, no matter how fierce, serves a purpose. It restores balance, nourishes life, and reminds us that even in darkness, light is never truly gone, it's just waiting to return. So, as you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the sky above you glowing with soft electric veins of light. Feel the pulse of energy moving through the world. Through the air, through you, the planet exhales, the rain falls, and the storm writes its secret messages across the night sky. Let the sound of distant thunder carry you now, softly, steadily, into the next dream, as we follow the lightning's trail into new mysteries waiting just beyond the clouds. Have you ever wondered why thunder feels more like a presence than a sound? It doesn't just reach your ears, it enters your body, rolls through your chest, and seems to vibrate somewhere behind your heart. For centuries, humans have stood beneath the trembling sky, listening to that ancient rumble, trying to decipher what it's trying to say. Some believed it was the voice of the gods. Others thought it was the earth answering the heavens. But maybe it's something else. Maybe thunder is the world's heartbeat, echoing through air and time. Now imagine this. You're standing in an open field just after a flash of lightning has split the darkness. The world goes still, impossibly still, like the pause between breaths. And then it comes, low at first, then swelling. A rolling growl that travels across the landscape, bouncing between hills, weaving through trees, and finally reaching you. It feels alive, as if the clouds are speaking in tones too vast for words. The ground beneath you hums faintly, and you realize thunder isn't just something you hear, it's something you feel. Scientifically, thunder is simply the sound of lightning's heat. When a lightning bolt tears through the air, it superheats it to over 30,000 degrees Celsius, 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun. That sudden burst of heat makes the air expand faster than it can escape. It's like a massive sonic ripple, a shock wave that rolls outward in every direction. The sound we call thunder is that shock wave breaking through the air. But understanding the science doesn't take away the mystery. If anything, it deepens it. Because what you're hearing isn't just a sound. It's the memory of lightning, the echo of raw creation. There's something primal about thunder, a sound older than language, older than music. The first humans must have listened to it with awe and fear, watching fire fall from the sky and rumble through the earth beneath their feet. In those moments, they probably felt the same mix of terror and fascination that we still feel today, even in our safe, insulated homes. We're wired to respond to it. That low-frequency rumble triggers both curiosity and comfort. It says, "You're small, but you belong here." It reminds us of our place beneath the sky. If you close your eyes and listen to thunder carefully, you'll notice it has texture. There are cracks, rumbles, rolls, and echoes, each telling you something about where it came from. A sharp, cracking sound means the lightning struck nearby, while a long, drawn-out rumble means it's miles away. In fact, you can even estimate the distance of the lightning by counting seconds between the flash and the thunder. About 5 seconds per mile. It's as if nature built its own heartbeat timer into the storm. But there's more to thunder than meets the ear. Did you know that scientists can actually use thunder to study the shape of lightning bolts? Each roll and echo tells a story about how the bolt branched through the sky. Like an artist tracing invisible lines, researchers listen to the thunder to map the lightning's journey. Every storm, in a sense, leaves a signature, a sound print that's entirely unique. And still, despite everything we know, there's something elusive about it, something that feels alive. Some researchers believe thunder might even influence the air around it, the vibration itself helping to mix layers of the atmosphere, blending temperature and pressure in ways we're only beginning to understand. The storm doesn't just make sound, it moves with sound, reshaping the sky as it roars. Ancient cultures felt that too. The Navajo spoke of thunder as a living spirit, the keeper of rain and renewal. The Chinese saw it as the sound of dragons moving through the heavens. And in African folklore, thunder was the drumming of ancestral spirits, calling down blessings from the sky. It was never just noise, it was meaning, carried through air when you think about it. Thunder is the earth's language, spoken not with words, but with waves. And just as you can feel someone's emotion through the tone of their voice, thunder carries the emotion of the storm. Sometimes it's gentle, a soft roll in the distance that sounds almost affectionate. Sometimes it's fierce and abrupt, shaking the windows and commanding attention. But in every form, it's honest. It tells you that the atmosphere is alive, that energy is moving, that balance is being restored. Now imagine you're lying in bed again. The storm is far away. You see faint flickers of lightning through the curtains, a whisper of pale blue and silver across the ceiling, then a soft rumble, like a slow exhale. You can almost feel it settle into your chest, grounding you, calming you. It's strange how something once feared now feels soothing. The same sound that once sent people running for shelter now lulls us to sleep. Isn't that beautiful? How fear, over time, can transform into comfort. There's a scientific reason for that too. The sound of distant thunder falls within a low-frequency range. These frequencies resonate with the body's natural rhythms, your heartbeat, your breath, the slow electrical waves of your brain. They create a kind of synchronization, a gentle entrainment that encourages relaxation. It's why so many people find thunder and rain recordings so comforting to fall asleep to. The storm becomes a lullaby. But beneath that calm, the story continues. For in the layers of thunder lies another mystery. In some rare cases, storms produce what's known as thunder snow. Imagine a blizzard, the world blanketed in white silence, and then a flash of lightning, followed by muffled thunder. It's one of nature's rarest performances, a collision of warmth and cold, chaos and stillness, as if two seasons were speaking at once. And then there are skyquakes, mysterious sounds that resemble thunder but occur on clear, sunny days. No storms, no lightning, just a deep, rolling boom that seems to come from nowhere. Scientists have theories: meteors entering the atmosphere, distant sonic booms, temperature inversions trapping sound, but none fully explain it. It's as though the earth sometimes rumbles in its sleep, reminding us that it's alive when you think about it. Thunder is connection, the sound of sky and earth touching. It's the invisible thread that ties light and air, heat and water, energy and life. It reminds us that everything is cyclical, that every flash, every rumble, every drop of rain is part of a larger rhythm. As you drift deeper now, imagine that sound stretching out over you, rolling gently across your mind, each echo growing softer, each vibration slower, until all that remains is a faint hum, the echo of creation itself. Thunder has spoken, the storm breathes, and the planet settles. So let go. Let the sky's voice become your lullaby. Feel the low rumble beneath your heartbeat, the quiet electricity in the air. Tonight, the storm has spoken its truth, and it's telling you to rest, to recharge, to remember that even the loudest forces of nature end in silence. And in that silence, the world and you begin again. Have you ever wondered why the wind moves the way it does? Why it sometimes whispers like a secret, and other times roars like a living creature awakened from sleep? Why one moment the air is still, and the next it surges through the world as though driven by some invisible hand? The truth is, wind is not merely moving air, it's the breath of the planet itself, a pulse that carries the energy of weather across oceans, mountains, and deserts. Every gust you feel is part of an ancient rhythm, the planet inhaling and exhaling through invisible lungs that never stop. Now imagine standing on the edge of a vast plain as twilight deepens. The sun has dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky washed in indigo and rose. The air is perfectly still for a moment, the kind of stillness that almost hums. Then, slowly, a breeze rises, gentle and curious, brushing against your face like a cautious hand. It slips through the grass, turns the leaves, and whispers through the distance, carrying the scent of rain and faraway soil. You can feel it against your skin, cool and alive. And in that moment, you realize you're not just feeling wind, you're feeling movement, born hundreds, even thousands of miles away. Every breath of air has a story. Wind is created by differences in pressure, in temperature, in sunlight. As the sun warms the earth unevenly, hot air rises and cooler air rushes in to take its place. That simple exchange sets the entire planet into motion. What begins as a faint stir over the ocean can evolve into a sweeping current that travels across continents. The wind you feel on your cheek tonight may have brushed across the Sahara, rippled through the Atlantic, and danced over mountains before finding you. And though we think of wind as chaotic, it isn't. It has patterns, hidden architectures of motion that weave the world together. High above us, there are rivers of air, the jet streams. They circled the globe at incredible speeds, guiding weather systems like celestial highways. Below them, trade winds, monsoons, and breezes shape climates, carry moisture, and direct storms. It's as if the earth has its own invisible circulatory system, with wind as its blood. But there's more to wind than just movement. It carries life. Seeds ride upon it to find new soil. Pollen drifts unseen across fields and forests, allowing plants to speak to one another through the air. Even the oceans feel its touch. Wind stirs their surfaces, driving waves that mix nutrients and sustain the vast web of marine life. Without wind, the Earth's ecosystems would fall silent, stagnant, still, and yet, for all its gentle beauty, the wind has a wild side. When pressure differences become too great, when the balance tips, that same breath can turn furious. The air gathers speed, twisting and spiraling into storms, hurricanes, and cyclones. Winds that once carried whispers can become voices of power, capable of reshaping coastlines and forests. It's as though the planet itself sighs too deeply and the sigh becomes a scream. Did you know that the strongest winds ever recorded on Earth exceeded 250 miles per hour? Inside a tornado, the air moves so fast that it can lift houses, hurl cars, and twist steel like paper. But even in that chaos, there's structure, a strange, perfect geometry. The spinning air inside a vortex aligns itself around a central calm called the eye. Within that eye, everything is eerily still, peaceful, even beautiful. It's a paradox, the calmest point in the most violent force. That's the secret language of nature, balance within chaos, calm within motion, just like your own breathing. When the world exhales too quickly, it must inhale again. When wind rages, it's not anger, it's the atmosphere redistributing energy, healing imbalance, bringing equilibrium back to the sky. Ancient people understood the spirit of wind better than we do today. The Greeks called it an and believed each direction had its own deity, Boreas from the north, Notus from the south, Zephyrus from the west, and Eurus from the east. To them, wind was alive, conscious, a messenger between gods and mortals. In the Vedas of ancient India, wind was Vayu, the breath of the universe, carrying life force itself. The Polynesians read the wind to navigate thousands of miles of open sea, feeling the invisible pathways that stretched across the Pacific. In every culture, the wind was never just air, it was spirit. And perhaps, in some way, that's still true. Because when wind touches you, it connects you to everything. To the trees that bend in rhythm, to the oceans that rise and fall, to the clouds that drift above. It reminds you that even the invisible can shape the world. Imagine, for a moment, lying beneath an open window as night deepens. The wind drifts in, soft and slow, carrying the scent of damp earth and leaves. It brushes against your skin, plays gently with your hair. It moves through your room like a living thing, quiet and graceful. Each gust a soft exhale from the sleeping world outside. It's not random, it's patterned, rhythmic, like the pulse of nature itself. Scientists studying wind patterns have found something extraordinary: the same mathematical ratios that govern music, art, and the spiral of galaxies also appear in the way wind flows. The chaos of air follows a kind of harmony we can't always hear but can feel: the flickering patterns of turbulence, the steady hum of a summer breeze. All of it fits into a grand design of energy moving toward balance, even in apparent disorder. There's grace, sometimes, at high altitudes. Pilots see shimmering lines in the air, gravity waves, ripples of atmosphere caused by the rise and fall of air masses. They look like invisible tides flowing through the sky. The wind carries not just energy, but memory, traces of storms long gone, of sunlight that heated one patch of ocean and not another. Every breeze is a record of the planet's past few hours. Now listen, really listen, to the wind outside your window. It may seem like a background sound, but it's a conversation. It moves through branches, over rooftops, around corners. It's shaping everything it touches, sculpting dunes, spreading seeds, turning turbines that power entire cities. The same invisible force that cools your skin is the same energy that spins the blades of massive wind farms, feeding electricity into the veins of the modern world. The planet breathes, and we have learned to breathe with it. There's a quiet comfort in that realization, isn't there? That the same air that carries the sigh of distant mountains now fills your lungs. That the same wind that brushed against ancient temples, ancient forests, and oceans long before your birth now passes over you tonight. You are, in every sense, sharing breath with the world. So, as you lie there, listening to the gentle hum of the night air, let it lull you. The wind will whisper you to sleep, carrying stories from every corner of the earth. The sound of oceans, forests, deserts, and cities, all woven into one endless, soothing current. Close your eyes and imagine the sky as a vast, living creature, breathing slowly, deeply, peacefully. Each inhale drawing warmth and energy, each exhale sending calm across the land. And in that rhythm, you find your own, your breath aligning with the planets, your heartbeat syncing with the turning of the air. The storm may rage again, the winds may rise, but tonight the earth is at peace. It breathes through the trees, across the waters, through the dark and the light. You are part of that breath, the soft exhale of a living world that never sleeps, never stops, only flows. Now drift deeper, carried on the wind's invisible wings, letting it take you further into the quiet mysteries of the night, where even the air itself is alive. Have you ever looked up at a cloud and felt that it was watching you back? Those drifting forms seem soft, harmless, yet they hold the power to flood cities, shade continents, and cradle lightning within their bellies. They float gently, but they are heavy, unimaginably heavy. Did you know that an average cloud can hold millions of pounds of water suspended in midair? And still, they move gracefully, almost lazily, across the endless blue. It's as if gravity forgets them for a while, granting them freedom to dream across the heavens. Now imagine lying on your back in a quiet field. The grass beneath you is cool and damp. The world is hushed except for the hum of insects and the whisper of a soft breeze. Above you, the sky stretches vast and endless. Clouds drift slowly across it, some wispy like smoke, others towering like mountains. You trace their shapes, a ship, a sleeping giant, a face, a bird, and wonder what they really are. What keeps them from falling? What gives them life? In truth, clouds are the lungs of the Earth's water cycle, each one a vast floating factory where invisible vapor turns back into liquid. They form when warm, moist air rises, cools, and condenses around tiny particles, dust, salt, even bits of pollen. Each droplet is microscopic, but together they form the majestic white towers we see from below. When sunlight hits them just right, the droplets scatter light equally, creating that bright, milky glow. But look closer, and you'll see that clouds are not still. They are alive with motion. Every second, countless droplets form, merge, and vanish again, constantly transforming. The life of a cloud is fleeting. Some last only minutes. Others can survive for days, drifting across oceans, carrying entire weather systems on their backs. Clouds are wanderers, storytellers of the atmosphere. Each one carries the memory of where it was born, whether over a sunlit desert or a stormy sea. Scientists classify them with precise names: cumulus, cirrus, stratus, cumulonimbus, but those Latin words only hint at their mystery. A cumulus cloud, for example, might look light and soft, but it can weigh more than 1,000 elephants. Yet, because it's spread over miles of sky, we see only grace, not gravity. The towering cumulonimbus, the king of clouds, is another story. It's the engine of the storm, the cathedral of thunder. It can rise more than 10 miles into the atmosphere, piercing through layers of air colder than the Arctic inside it. Updrafts lift water droplets so high they freeze into ice. These frozen pieces collide and fall, rubbing against other particles and creating electrical charges. That's where lightning is born, within the churning heart of a storm cloud. So the next time you see a flash of lightning, remember, it was crafted inside a floating mountain of air and ice. But clouds aren't just messengers of storms, they are protectors too. They regulate the Earth's temperature by reflecting sunlight during the day and trapping warmth during the night. Without them, our planet would swing between searing heat and unbearable cold. Clouds are the planet's soft shield, and yet they are also its wild artists, painting the skies with shapes that shift faster than thought. Have you ever seen the underside of a storm cloud before rain begins to fall? The color changes from white to steel gray, then to a bruised purple. You can feel the pressure in the air, a kind of waiting. The world seems to hold its breath. And then the first drop, a ripple in the dust, a whisper of release. Raindrops are born inside those clouds when droplets merge and grow heavy enough to fall. But even their journey is uncertain. Many evaporate before touching the ground. Returning to the sky's invisible sea, it's a reminder that nothing in nature is wasted. Everything circulates. Clouds breathe, exhale, dissolve, and reform endlessly. Did you know that clouds even form on other planets? On Venus, they're made of sulfuric acid. On Jupiter and Saturn, of ammonia crystals. And on Neptune, they might be methane ice. Each world has its own version of sky, its own poetry of vapor and light. The universe, it seems, loves the idea of clouds, floating bridges between the seen and the unseen. There's a kind of serenity in watching them. That's why sky watching has always been a meditative act. When you gaze at clouds, your brain slows down, synchronizing with their unhurried movement. The gentle transformations above mirror the ebb and flow of your thoughts. Cloud gazing becomes a form of breathing. The mind loosens, softens, begins to drift. Ancient cultures read clouds as omens. The Greeks saw them as the cloaks of gods, hiding divine hands at work. The Japanese art of ukiyo-e pictures of the floating world was inspired by clouds and their reminder of impermanence. In Norse legends, clouds were the breath of sleeping giants, while in Hindu mythology they were celestial elephants carrying water from the oceans to the heavens. Each story, in its own way, captures the truth. Clouds are the messengers between worlds, and perhaps that's what draws us to them. They exist in the space between, not earth, not heaven, not solid, not fluid. They are thresholds, reminders that transformation is not only possible, but constant. Now, imagine flying above them. You're in a small plane, ascending through gray mist, and then, suddenly, you break through. The world below is hidden, replaced by a blinding sea of white stretching endlessly. Above it, the sky is dark sapphire. The sun gleams against the top of the clouds, turning them into golden hills from above. They look like frozen waves. You realize then that you're seeing something few ever truly see. The world that the storms build and the stars look down upon. And even here, high above, the air is never still. Rivers of vapor move silently beneath, shaping weather far away, somewhere below. Those same clouds will release rain, nurture forests, and refill rivers. You are watching the future unfold, drop by drop. Scientists studying global climate say that clouds hold the greatest mystery of all. They are the key to understanding how our planet will change. Some clouds cool the earth, others trap heat. The balance between them determines the future temperature of our world. It's as if the fate of the planet rests upon the softness of vapor. But in this moment, as night settles and your breathing slows, the clouds become something else entirely, not a scientific puzzle, not a symbol of power, but a comfort. You imagine them gathering above you, soft, vast, protective, wrapping the sky in gentle folds. They are blankets of the heavens, drifting slowly across the dreamscape of the world. And as you drift with them, your thoughts lighten, becoming wisps themselves, carried gently along unseen currents. You can almost feel the air thinning, the cool peace of altitude filling your lungs. The world below fades, its noise distant, unreal. All that remains is quiet motion, clouds forming, dissolving, reforming again. Forever changing, yet forever familiar. Let go of the ground now, and float with them, become weightless. Become part of that endless sky. Each breath you take joins theirs. Each exhale adds to the great invisible ocean above. The clouds breathe, the earth breathes, and so do you. Now rest. Carried high in the calm above the storm, let your mind drift with the slow current of vapor and light. For even here, in silence, creation is still unfolding. The sky writes its stories, one cloud at a time. And tonight, you are part of its newest chapter. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the horizon, dark, wide, endless. The air feels different tonight. It hums. A restless, invisible current runs through it. You can smell something sharp and metallic, like the edge of a blade ozone. That faint electric perfume of the storm before it arrives. The world is holding its breath. The birds have gone silent. Even the insects pause, sensing what's about to unfold. The air grows heavier, charged, almost aware. And then, far in the distance, a flicker. A flash so quick you almost doubt you saw it. Then comes the low, rolling growl that seems to rise from the bones of the earth itself. Thunder. You've just witnessed the universe reminding us that electricity is alive. And lightning, that sudden, dazzling fracture of light, is its most dramatic expression. But behind that beauty lies an astonishing science, a mystery that humans have chased for centuries. What truly happens in that fraction of a second when the sky splits open? Let's travel upward into the belly of the storm above the ground. Towering cumulonimbus clouds rise like dark mountains in motion. Inside them, chaos reigns. Tiny droplets of water collide with ice crystals and frozen hailstones, rubbing and scraping as they're carried upward by powerful updrafts. This violent ballet of collision separates electrical charges. Positive charges rise to the cloud tops, while heavier, negative charges sink toward the base. The storm is now divided, like two opposing armies inside a floating fortress. At first, the charges are content to remain apart, but tension builds. The cloud becomes a living battery, storing potential energy greater than a nuclear power plant. The air between these charges, once harmless, becomes a battlefield waiting for a spark. And then it happens. A tiny thread of ionized air forms, invisible at first. It's a narrow path of plasma, the beginning of lightning. It snakes downward from the cloud in jagged steps, searching for the shortest route to release. Scientists call it the stepped leader, a ghostly scout seeking a target from the ground. Another current rises, faint but eager to connect. Trees, buildings, even the tips of your hair reach up with static anticipation. The two invisible threads meet in a single, impossible instant, and the world ignites. The flash you see, the one that lights the sky brighter than the sun, isn't just light, it's the shock wave of atoms tearing themselves apart and reforming. Temperatures in that channel soar to over 30,000 degrees Celsius, hotter than the surface of the sun. Air explodes outward, creating the thunder you hear seconds later. And here's a thought that might surprise you. The bolt you see doesn't travel downward. It actually flashes upward from the ground once the connection is made. The earth responds to the sky's call, sending its energy back in a brilliant counterstrike. It's a dialogue, not an attack, a conversation between earth and sky. But lightning doesn't just dance across clouds. It reaches beyond our planet. Astronomers have captured images of sprites, blue jets, and elves, exotic forms of lightning that leap upward from the tops of thunderstorms, racing toward space. They glow crimson and violet, shimmering like celestial jellyfish. These phenomena last mere milliseconds. Yet they remind us that Earth's storms are part of a much larger electrical symphony, reaching all the way to the edge of space. There's something almost alive about lightning. Some ancient cultures believed it was the weapon of gods, Zeus hurling bolts from Olympus, or Thor swinging his hammer, Mjolnir. In Hindu mythology, Indra controlled storms to test human courage. But beneath the myth, there's always been awe, because even now, in the age of science, lightning still defies total understanding. Did you know that a single bolt can carry up to 5 billion joules of energy? That's enough to power an entire small town for a day. Yet it's released in less than a second. Too fast to harness, too wild to tame. Scientists have tried capturing it, using rocket-triggered lightning or tall towers with grounded wires. But nature remains elusive. It gives no warning, no mercy, and no repetition. Every flash is unique, a signature of the sky's fleeting mood. Now imagine being there in the open, under a storm that's building. The wind rises, cool at first, then wild. Leaves twist, rain begins to fall in heavy drops that sting your skin. The clouds above churn like dark ocean waves. You hear the hiss before the thunder, a sound like the world inhaling sharply, and then the explosion of white. For a moment, everything stops. The trees, the rain, even your heartbeat seems to freeze in that impossible brightness. You see your shadow burn itself into your mind. When the thunder follows, it's not a sound anymore, it's a vibration. You feel it through your chest, through your bones. This is the heartbeat of the storm, the sky speaking in electric language. But lightning isn't only destruction, it's creation, too. When lightning strikes, it splits nitrogen and oxygen molecules in the air, allowing them to recombine as nitrates, the same compounds that nourish plants. Without lightning, the Earth's soil would slowly lose fertility. Every bolt you see streaking through the night sky is fertilizing the ground below, sowing seeds of life. Even more astonishing, scientists have found evidence suggesting that lightning may have played a key role in the origin of life itself. Billions of years ago, when Earth's atmosphere was thick and volatile, lightning could have sparked the first chemical reactions that formed amino acids, the building blocks of life. In a very real sense, lightning may have been our first ancestor, and yet it remains dangerous, unpredictable. A storm can appear peaceful from a distance, its flashes like silent lanterns behind gray curtains. But up close, it's a realm of raw, unstoppable force. Every year, lightning strikes the planet nearly 8 million times per day, hitting oceans, mountains, forests, and cities with relentless rhythm. Somewhere on Earth, at this very second, a bolt is connecting sky to ground. You might be wondering, if it's so common, why do we still find it so mesmerizing? Perhaps because lightning reveals the invisible. It makes the air's secret energy visible, if only for a blink. It shows us that the universe is alive with current, that even in silence, electricity flows through everything: clouds, oceans, trees, and us. Yes, you, too, are electric. Every thought in your brain, every heartbeat, every muscle twitch is a spark of energy firing through neural storms. You are lightning, slowed down and contained as night deepens. Imagine lying somewhere safe and quiet, the storm rumbling in the distance. The flashes no longer startle you, they calm you. Each one feels like a slow breath of the planet, an inhale of energy, an exhale of release. The thunder becomes the Earth's lullaby, steady and grounding. You can almost hear the conversation between the clouds and the ground, the sky whispering secrets of charge and current, the Earth responding softly like an old friend. Tonight, let the storm sing you to sleep. The lightning outside is not a threat, It's a reminder of life's pulse, the rhythm that connects all things. With every flicker beyond your window, imagine your own thoughts syncing with it, flashing and fading, bright and gone. Because somewhere, far above, the storm continues, its veins glowing, its heart beating. And as you drift deeper into dreams, you realize that the universe itself might be dreaming through lightning, brief, brilliant moments of awareness flashing across the darkness, lighting up eternity for just a heartbeat. Have you ever felt thunder before you heard it? That deep vibration rolling through your chest, the windows trembling just slightly, the air itself shuddering as if it were breathing beside you. It's strange, isn't it? That sound can move through the air like a living creature, carrying emotion, warning, and power. And thunder, that ancient roar of the heavens, is more than noise. It's the voice of lightning, the echo of Earth's own heartbeats speaking through the sky. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a vast plain at night. A storm forming in the distance. The horizon glows faintly with each flicker of lightning, then returns to black. The first thunder doesn't arrive right away. It waits, rolls in slowly, low and growling. Like a giant waking in the dark, you can count the seconds between the flash and the rumble. 1, 2, 3. Then it comes, a sound so deep it feels ancient. Older than speech, older than humanity. It moves not just through the air, but through you, through the ground, through everything that touches the earth. But what is thunder, really? Why does it sound so alive, so unpredictable, sometimes distant and gentle, sometimes cracking open the sky like glass? Let's journey inside that mystery, slowly, calmly, as if we're following the sound itself back to its origin. When lightning slices through the air, it doesn't just flash, it explodes. The air inside the lightning channel heats up instantly to more than 30,000 degrees Celsius. That's 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun. In less than 1,000th of a second, this superheated air expands violently, pushing against the cooler air around it, creating a shock wave. That shock wave becomes sound. The sound becomes thunder. But thunder isn't a single boom. It's a complex symphony of echoes, ripples, and reverberations. Each bolt of lightning is miles long, twisting, branching, splitting into countless tiny paths. Each section produces its own explosion of sound. Those overlapping bursts bounce off clouds, mountains, forests, and buildings blending into the long, rolling rumble that fills the sky. If you've ever noticed thunder growling softly one moment and cracking sharply the next, that's because of distance and reflection. A close lightning strike delivers a sharp crack like a whip tearing the air. Farther away, the sound stretches, losing its sharpness, transformed into a continuous roll. It's like the storm is playing its own orchestra, percussion only, all rhythm, no melody. Now imagine this from the storm's perspective. Inside that great mass of cloud, lightning flashes like neurons firing in a vast electric brain. Each flash triggers a pulse of thunder. A message sent out into the world, traveling through air, through water droplets, through mountains, through you. It's as if the storm is speaking in sound waves, whispering its presence across miles. Did you know that thunder can travel up to 15 miles from its source, sometimes farther when the air is just right? On still nights, The low-frequency rumbles can bend around the curvature of the earth, hugging the surface as if unwilling to leave. That's why sometimes, even when the lightning seems far away, you still hear that faint, soothing roll. The storm is there, somewhere beyond sight, still murmuring its secrets. There's something deeply psychological about thunder, too. Some people fear it, the loud, unpredictable crash triggering an ancient instinct of danger. Others find it comforting, a primal lullaby that tells us we're safe inside while the world cleanses itself outside. Think about it. Thunder has always been with us. Since the dawn of time, before cities, before stories, our ancestors sat beneath open skies, listening, wondering. They didn't have words like shockwave or atmospheric discharge. They just heard the voice of gods, the anger of spirits, or the laughter of giants. Even today, something in us still feels that awe. When thunder rolls, we stop and listen. We don't mean to, but we do, because some part of us remembers that sound as sacred. Scientists have studied thunder, not just to understand it, but to map it. Special instruments, called acoustic sensors, record the time and direction of thunderclaps, helping researchers reconstruct the path of a lightning bolt in 3 dimensions. Each thunderclap becomes a data point in a sound map of the sky, a musical score written in nature's own notation. But here's where things get stranger, and even more beautiful. Thunder doesn't only exist on Earth. Lightning has been observed on Jupiter, Saturn, and even Neptune. And yes, that means there is thunder there too, though it would sound very different on Jupiter. Lightning bolts can be thousands of times more powerful than ours. The dense, hydrogen-rich atmosphere would carry their rumbles as deep, booming waves, far lower and slower than anything we could hear. It would be like listening to the voice of a planet speaking from the depths of an ocean. On Mars, however, thunder might never reach your ears. The air is too thin to carry such sound. Lightning may flash, but it would be silent, like a movie played without music. Isn't that eerie to imagine? A sky that glows but never speaks, light without sound, power without voice. Back on Earth, thunder does something important for us. It reminds us that energy moves, that sound connects all living things. It doesn't just travel through air, it moves through soil, through rock, through our bodies. Every time thunder rolls, you're feeling the movement of atoms that were once struck by lightning, vibrating through space and time. In a way, thunder is the storm's heartbeat, lightning the pulse. Thunder, the echo. The sky contracts and expands, just like lungs, just like you, breathing in energy, breathing out sound. Now picture this, you're lying in bed, safe, warm, listening to the storm outside. The rain is gentle, the air cool and sweet. You hear a flash before you see it, a blink of light through the curtains, and then, seconds later, the sound arrives, long, slow, fading into the distance. Each rumble seems to come from deeper in the earth, rolling softly away like a slow tide. You can feel the rhythm of it in your bones, matching your heartbeat, syncing with your breath. The storm feels close, but not threatening. It feels alive, ancient, and deeply familiar. The sound waves passing through you are the same kind that traveled through your ancestors 1,000 generations ago. The same kind that once echoed across empty plains, across mountains, across the sea, and as you listen, you realize something. Thunder is not just noise. It's memory, it's energy transformed into sound, sound transformed into feeling, feeling transformed into peace. You might even start to drift, your body softening, your mind loosening its grip. The low rolls of thunder become a rhythm that carries you deeper, farther, softer, somewhere between waking and dreaming. You can almost imagine you're floating in the sound itself, suspended inside the voice of the storm. Each rumble a heartbeat, each pause a breath. And as you drift deeper, the distance between you and the world fades. You become part of it, part of the air that carries the sound, part of the storm that sings. Because in the quiet heart of thunder, beneath all its power and mystery, lies stillness, a silence so vast and perfect that all sound begins and ends there. The storm passes, the thunder softens, the air clears. But that silence remains waiting, listening, breathing with you. And tonight, as you sink into sleep, remember, the universe may roar, but it also whispers. Between every crash of thunder, there's a pause, a heartbeat, a space where peace lives. Let that be the sound you fall asleep to, the silence between the rumbles, the calm beneath the storm, the gentle truth that even thunder has a heart, and it beats in time with yours. Have you ever listened closely to the wind? Not just heard it, but listened. When you pause for long enough, it begins to speak, not in words, but in whispers, rising and falling like the tide. It hums through trees, curls around mountains, sighs over oceans, and slips gently through your window at night, brushing your skin with invisible fingers. The wind is the oldest traveler on Earth. It's been here since the planet first cooled, moving endlessly, reshaping everything it touches. Clouds, deserts, forests, even us. And yet, most of the time, we barely notice it. We call it a breeze when it comforts us, a storm when it frightens us. But what is it, really? Tonight, as you rest and listen, we'll follow the wind itself, from its quiet birth in sunlight to its roaring transformation into storms that sweep across continents. This is the story of motion, of balance, and of the secret breath that keeps our planet alive. Imagine standing at dawn in a wide, open valley. The sky is pale, the air still and cool. For a moment, nothing moves. Then, as the sun lifts above the horizon, you feel it, a faint stirring, a sigh across your cheek. That's the beginning of wind, the earth's soft exhale as it wakes. You see, wind begins with sunlight. When the sun warms the earth, it doesn't do so evenly. Oceans, forests, deserts, they all absorb heat differently. Warm air rises, cool air sinks. This uneven heating creates invisible rivers of motion, streams of air flowing from one place to another, always seeking balance, always chasing equilibrium that never truly comes in its simplest form. That's all wind is, air moving from where it's warm to where it's cool. But from that small truth, infinite patterns emerge. Up close, you feel it as a gentle breeze brushing through your hair. But seen from space, it's an intricate ballet. Entire currents twist and coil across the globe. The trade winds, jet streams, monsoons, and polar vortices, all part of a vast, living network connecting every corner of the planet. When you stand on a beach and feel the salty wind on your face, that air might have begun its journey thousands of miles away. perhaps as cold breath rising off the Arctic ice, or warm vapor lifted from the Pacific's surface. It could be carrying grains of sand from the Sahara, salt from the sea, or even pollen from distant forests. Every gust has a history. Every breeze carries memory that the air you breathe tonight might once have swept across mountain peaks, rushed through canyons, and swirled above jungles where parrots and monkeys call. It may have traveled through ancient ruins or across lonely tundras, moving silently, tirelessly, as it has for millions of years. But sometimes, the wind grows restless, high in the atmosphere. Powerful currents, the jet streams, race around the planet at speeds over 200 miles per hour. They are the architects of weather, the unseen sculptors of clouds and storms. When these streams shift, entire climates can change. They can carry warmth into frozen lands or summon winter into the tropics. It's almost as if the wind itself dreams reshaping the face of the world as it moves. And then there are the tempests. Hurricanes, cyclones, typhoons, they all begin as whispers of air, small disturbances over warm water. But with heat, humidity, and time, they gather strength, spiraling, feeding, growing, until they become colossal engines of energy, spinning across the ocean with the power of 1,000 nuclear bombs from above. They look like living creatures, swirling eyes of white cloud and silver light. And yet, even in their fury, there is symmetry, balance, purpose. For storms, too, are part of the planet's design, nature's way of redistributing heat, of restoring the fragile balance that sunlight constantly disrupts. When you watch a storm's winds tear across the sky, remember that chaos is creation. The same force that uproots trees also carries seeds across continents. The same gale that whips the sea into waves helps cool the planet, mix the air, spread life. The wind, in all its moods, is not the enemy. It is the breath of the world. Let's go higher now, far above the clouds, where the air thins and the blue turns to black. Up here, the jet stream roars like an invisible river. It can carry weather systems halfway across the world in days. Birds migrating across continents ride it like a highway. Even seeds, spores, and insects have been found drifting in its current, traveling thousands of miles, suspended in air thinner than a whisper. And beyond that, the wind doesn't stop at the edge of the sky. It stretches outward, the solar wind, a stream of charged particles flowing from the sun, racing through space at unimaginable speeds. That wind shapes planets, sculpts magnetic fields, and creates the shimmering auroras that dance above polar skies. Every breeze, every gale, every cosmic gust is connected. It's all motion, the universe inhaling and exhaling in endless rhythm. But the wind also carries stories. If you know how to listen, the desert wind whispers of endurance. Grains of sand carved into dunes that shift like liquid over centuries. The mountain wind speaks of solitude, howling through passes untouched by human feet. The ocean wind laughs, playful and wild, chasing waves and birds in endless circles. Each carries the scent of where it's been: salt, pine, dust, rain. It's as if the planet is constantly exhaling its own autobiography, and every breath we take lets us read a line of it. Did you know that our ancestors once believed the wind carried souls? In ancient Egypt, it was the breath of the gods. In Greece, it was ruled by divine forces, Boreas of the north, Zephyrus of the west, Eurus and Notus of the east and south. In many cultures, the first sign of life was breath, and the last, the wind leaving the body. Perhaps that's why we instinctively close our eyes when it brushes against our face. It feels familiar, intimate, a reminder that we too are part of that same moving air. The breath that fills your lungs is ancient, the same molecules once inhaled by forests, by whales, by the first humans, even by dinosaurs, in a very real sense. You are breathing the memory of the world now. Imagine yourself lying somewhere peaceful, a field, a shore, a quiet hill, the wind moving gently through the grass. It strokes your skin, lifts a strand of your hair, cools the air around you. Above, clouds drift slowly, shaped and reshaped by invisible hands. You can almost see the movement of the air, soft ribbons, invisible tides. You realize that the same wind touching you now may one day circle the globe, climb mountains, cross oceans, and return again, changed, yet the same, just as you are, moment to moment. The wind is the perfect teacher of impermanence, always moving, never still, never truly gone. As night falls, listen to it outside your window, the quiet rustle of leaves, the faint moan through the eaves. Those sounds are the earth breathing. They are ancient, patient, eternal, the same rhythms that have lulled creatures to sleep for millions of years. And in that soft motion, that endless coming and going, there's something deeply peaceful. Because the wind reminds us that change is not chaos. It's the nature of all things. Movement, transformation, renewal. So, tonight, as you rest, imagine that every breath you take is the planet breathing with you, in and out, slow and calm. An exchange of energy that connects you to everything that's ever lived. You are not separate from the wind. You are the wind, slow, invisible, wandering, timeless dot, and as the world outside sighs softly through the dark, you drift with it, carried on the current of air, through valleys and clouds, across oceans, through dreams. The breath of the sky continues, gentle and infinite, weaving life into every moment, every sound, every breath. And you, at last, are part of that rhythm, the great exhale of the universe, endless, calm, and beautifully alive.